Hello everybody, Mark, aka The Nerdy Punk, back again today for a new video. It's been quite a while, guys. I apologize. Life has just been throwing me one curveball after another lately. Without getting into further details, my life has been pretty stressful in the past few weeks. So my last video was before the new year, so this is the first video of 2024. Welcome to the new year, guys. Hope you all are having an incredible start to your new year. We are now 2.5 weeks in. Today is Martin Luther King Day, so I've got the day off, plenty of time to film a video, and I hope you all are having a great holiday if you're off work, and I hope you're enjoying it and reflecting on the incredible human that was Dr. King. With that being said, today's video is going to be my most anticipated movies of 2024. I have not forgotten about wrapping up 2023. We will do that. I will do my top movies of the year, and it will definitely be coming out before the Oscars. I still have a few more movies to watch. I'm hoping to do early February, late January for that video, but I'm not making any promises. I'm going to try to put a little bit more effort into that video. Not that I didn't put effort into it before, but I'm hoping to make it a little bit more elevated in terms of the quality. I'm hoping to throw in some clips of some of the movies, if copyright permits, and all that. So I really want this video to be good, so I'm taking some time to work on it, and of course finishing up watching a couple of the movies that I haven't seen from 2023 before I finalize my list. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to 2024 and talk about the movies that I'm really pumped up for. I do not know every movie that's going to come out in 2024. Of course, nobody does. There's always a handful of movies that get released late in the year that kind of either weren't on people's radar or were kind of announced late. So there's a couple of movies on here that haven't had release dates yet, and I'll talk about those at the end. Those are very likely, I think, this year to come out this year, but there's always a chance that they don't. And then there's always a chance there's some movies that are not on the schedule that come out and just blow everybody away. So, and those are usually the best movies of the year. So this list is in no way perfectly complete, but as of January 15th, this is my top most anticipated movies of the year. So let's get started. First movie here, I'm going to go in calendar order, not necessarily in order of how much I'm anticipating them. I will tell you what my most anticipated movie is when we get to it, but with that in mind, it's not necessarily in that order, it's in calendar order. So, first on the calendar, February 14th, we have Bob Marley, One Love. This movie was rumored to come out last year in 2023, and it was considered an Oscar contender, but it got pushed and pushed and pushed, and they finally decided to release it in 2024 with a February release. Now, if they were confident in this movie, I don't think they would be releasing it in February. I think they'd be releasing it in December or October, something like that, to contend for the Oscars. So I'm not entirely sure in terms of its awards contention, but I am excited to see this. Of course, I love Bob Marley's music. I've heard some pretty good things about the performance from Kingsley Ben-Adir, who's playing Bob Marley, and I've seen the trailers, of course. The trailer looks pretty good, and I'm excited to watch this one and check it out in the theater. Next one up is on March, sorry, I'm trying to read the calendar here. March 1st, I believe, if I wrote that correctly, and that is Dune Part 2. Speaking of movies that got pushed, of course, thanks to the writer's strike and actor's strike, there have been a lot of movies that were kind of pushed off into 2024, and one of those is, of course, Dune Part 2, probably the most notable one that got pushed. I really liked the first Dune, directed by, what's his name? Denis Villeneuve. Don't know why I blanked on it for a second, but I really like his work. Every movie that I've seen of his has been really good, and I really like Timothée Chalamet in the lead role in these movies, and I can't wait to see where they take the story. I've never read the book, so I've heard a lot of stuff happens in the second half of the book. So my one gripe with Dune from 2020 was that, or 2021, whatever year that was, my one gripe with it was that it felt incomplete because it was only the first half of the book. So I'm interested to see how not only I like this movie, but how it kind of adjusts my view of the first movie as well, because I'm sure it will. And then maybe after this movie comes out, I'll actually try to read the book. I've heard it's a very difficult read, but I am kind of interested usually in reading books after I see movies, if they're based on books, if that makes sense. So I might dip my toe into the water in that. And then I think they're gonna make a third Dune movie with Denis Villeneuve, and I'm assuming they're gonna base that off of one of the sequels, because Dune the book has a lot of sequels as well. So can't wait to see this. I'm sure it's gonna be visually stunning. I'm sure the special effects are gonna be incredible. I just hope that it delivers in the story, just like the first one did. Next up, on April 26th, speaking of movies that got pushed back yet again, we have another one, Challengers. This is the new film from Luca Guadagnino, who directed Call Me By Your Name and Bones and All, both starring Timothée Chalamet. This is his first movie in a while, anyway, that hasn't been starred Timothée Chalamet. I can't speak today. I apologize. But yeah, I think he's made more movies before those two, but the first one in a while, first notable movie without Timothée Chalamet. It stars Zendaya as well as Mike Feist, who played one of the best characters, I think, in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. I was really impressed with Mike Feist and his performance in that movie, so I'm pretty excited to see him in this one as well. And it looks like kind of like a romance based upon a tennis star. I don't know if it's a fictional tennis star or if it's a real person that they're basing it upon. But Zendaya, Mike Feist, and there's another guy, I can't remember his name. They're all tennis players, I think, and there's a romance between all of them. So I'm very interested in seeing what this movie has to deliver, and I can't wait to see it in the theater. Next one up, May 10th, we have Back to Black, which is a biopic about the life of Amy Winehouse. And I'm not a huge Amy Winehouse fan, but I do like her music, and what I've heard of it, I've been a really big fan of. And I think she was, rest in peace, an incredible artist. And if she had, survived and was continuing to make music, I think she would be one of the biggest stars and greatest voices of our generation. So I'm really excited to see this. Biopics can either be really good or really bad, and I'm hoping this one is in the really good territory. Next one up here is on June 21st, and that is The Bike Riders. I think this is the final movie on my list that was postponed. This one was also supposed to come out last fall. It got pushed back once again due to the strike, and it stars Austin Butler in his first major role since playing Elvis on, of course, the movie Elvis, another biopic, one that I think was pretty good, not amazing, but pretty good. And Austin Butler was the best part of that movie. His performance as Elvis Presley was incredible. He really captured him very well, and I am really excited to see if Austin Butler can deliver in some other roles as well, because I really know little to nothing about him outside of Elvis. So I'm hoping that he is a really good actor in multiple roles, and I'm interested to see how he does in this movie. I don't know a whole lot about it, other than that it's a motorcycle movie, and that's basically all I'm going to learn about it before I go see the movie, because I want to be surprised as much as possible. Next one, we have to skip all the way to October. This year, again, because of the strike, and there were so many months where they didn't produce any movies, I think this year is going to be a little bit light overall, and so the summer looks very uninspiring to me. Outside of The Bike Riders, there's really not a whole lot in terms of creative, artistic movies. I think there's going to be a lot of sequels, some, major franchises, but nothing that really interests me that much. So yeah, I think this summer is going to be a little underwhelming, but I still think there's quite a bit of really good movies that are going to come out. So we're skipping all the way to the fall, and on October 4th, the next movie on my list, Joker Folie à Deux. This is the sequel to 2019's Joker, directed by Todd Phillips, starring Joaquin Phoenix. I really liked that movie when it first came out. It was kind of right in my wheelhouse at the time. I had not dived into Criterion. I had not gotten into as many art house films as I do these days, and Looking back upon it, I don't know if Joker would have been a top 10 movie for me. It was my movie of the year at the time, but it's definitely not anymore. I still think it's a good movie. I know everybody thinks it's a ripoff of Scorsese or it's a Taxi Driver ripoff. It's not quite that, but you can tell it definitely wears its inspirations on its sleeve. And I don't know if Todd Phillips was necessarily deserving of a directing Oscar nomination like he got. But anyway, I still think that movie is pretty good, and Joaquin Phoenix was fantastic in the role. And so I'm interested to see how he does in the sequel. I'm sure he'll be fantastic. But what really has me intrigued about this is it's a musical. And when they announced this, my thoughts were like, this could go one of two ways. This could be comically bad, or this could be really good. And it has a lot of talent behind it. Lady Gaga has entered the cast as Harley Quinn, a role that I think she is perfect for. And if it's a musical, she's perfectly cast in that role. So I have very high expectations. I mean, initially my expectations are kind of mixed, but I think this is going to be a pretty solid movie. And for a comic book movie, I think this is going to be an interesting, creative, artistic journey. So I'm really excited for it. Next up here on the list, November 22nd, we have Gladiator 2. Now, you'll notice there's not a lot of sequels on my list, but there are some. And I'm usually not that excited for sequels, but this is, of course, a sequel to Ridley Scott's Gladiator. It is directed by Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott can be very hit or miss for me. I still haven't seen Napoleon. I don't know, how good that movie is. I've heard mixed things. Sometimes Ridley Scott knocks it out of the park, and sometimes it's just kind of mediocre. So I'm hoping for good things. Russell Crowe is not involved, to my knowledge, but you do have Paul Mescal, who plays Russell Crowe's character's son in the film, and I love Paul Mescal, so I am definitely excited to see what he does in the film. And overall, I just think that this is an interesting sequel. I don't necessarily think it's going to be the best movie of the year, but I'm very intrigued by it and to see it. So definitely looking forward to that. And then we skip all the way to Christmas Day. My last two movies that are on the release schedule at the moment both release on Christmas Day. The first one is Nosferatu, which is the new adaptation of the classic vampire story by Robert Eggers. So Robert Eggers dipping his toe in the water once again into some folk horror, period piece. Robert Eggers definitely has his lane, and he does it very well. So I'm always going to watch a Robert Eggers movie. He has delivered so many times in the past with The Lighthouse, The Witch, The Northman, all fantastic movies. Love those, and can't wait to see what he does with Nosferatu. It stars Bill Skarsgård and Lily Rose Depp as well, and I believe Willem Dafoe is in the cast also, so I'm really excited for him. I always love Willem Dafoe. This is probably my most anticipated movie of the year, Nosferatu. It goes back and forth between this one and another horror movie that's going to come out. I'm not sure what date yet, but we'll get to that one in a second. But Nosferatu, at the moment, is my most anticipated movie of the year. And then finally, on the release calendar, also on Christmas Day, we have an untitled Jordan Peele movie. Now, I know absolutely nothing about this, obviously, because it doesn't even have a title yet. We have no plot synopsis. We just have the fact that it's a Jordan Peele movie. And that shows you how much I like Jordan Peele, that I'm willing to put a movie of his on the list that I know nothing about. I will see every Jordan Peele movie. I don't necessarily think he's the best director that's emerged in the past 10 years, but he has always delivered a creative and unique experience, and he does something really cool with the horror genre, I think. And I was really impressed, of course, with Get Out, a modern horror classic in my opinion. I was also very impressed with Us, even though it didn't have the same reception as Get Out. And then his movie that came out a couple of years ago called Nope. That one was a really interesting summer blockbuster that I think is unlike any other summer blockbuster that's come out in the past 5+ years. So he always delivers, in my opinion. I've never really said that any of his movies are perfect. I don't really think any of his movies are my favorites necessarily, but he always is going to deliver a creative and unique experience, and it's always going to be a time in the theater that I'm going to enjoy. So I'm going to put a Jordan Peele movie on the list regardless of whether I know anything about it or not. All right, we have 3 movies left. These all do not have release dates at the moment. One of them, this first one, had a release date early in the year, and it just got pushed. So that leads me to believe it may be an Oscar contender, and that is Mickey 17. This stars Robert Pattinson and is directed by Bong Joon-ho. Bong Joon-ho, of course, made Parasite, as well as Memories of Murder, Okja, several other really notable films. Snowpiercer, I believe, was his movie as well. These are really fantastic movies, and of course Parasite was amazing. Perfect movie. Probably my movie of the year for 2019. It goes back and forth, but one of my favorite Best Picture winners of all time in Parasite. So I will see every Bong Joon-ho movie. Robert Pattinson is a phenomenal actor in my opinion, so I can't wait for this. It's going to be a sci-fi horror vibe, and apparently they think it may be an awards contender, which is why I'm assuming they pushed it back later in the year. It was initially supposed to come out in March. So we have to wait a little bit longer for it, but I'm hoping that it will be a contender. Next up, this is my other candidate for most anticipated movie of the year, and that is Maxine. Directed by Ty West, stars Mia Goth, and is the final movie of the X trilogy that began in 2022 with the movie X and Pearl. So those 2 movies I really loved. I love this character. I love Mia Goth's performance. I think it's a modern horror classic. It's an iconic role that I think she will be remembered for a very long time. And then this movie, we thought initially may come out last year. Of course it didn't, and we still don't have a release date yet for it, but we know it's going to come out in 2024. And I'm super excited for this. I can't wait to see where this story wraps up, and if Mia Goth can deliver another iconic horror performance. And then finally, my last movie, this is the one I'm not quite sure if it's going to be released in 2024, but I think it will be, and this is called Kind of Kindness, and it is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. Yorgos Lanthimos made Poor Things this past year, and that's one of the more recent movies I've seen. Loved the movie so much. Not to spoil anything for my for my top 10 movies list, but I loved that movie a lot. It will definitely be top 5 for sure. And every movie Yorgos Lanthimos has made that I've seen, I've really liked. He has a very unique style. He is a director that's at the top of his game, and it is yet another collaboration between him and Emma Stone. So Emma Stone, of course, the star of Poor Things. I think she is absolutely deserving of an Oscar if she gets it. She is fantastic in the movie, and I'm sure she'll be fantastic in this one as well. Any movie with Yorgos Lanthimos and Emma Stone, definitely going to see. So can't wait for this one. I know nothing about the plot. I don't think there's been any details released yet, but I do know this movie was originally called and the movie got changed. The title was changed to Kind of Kindness. That's all we know about it. So it's another one of those situations where the director, the actor, I'm definitely going to want to see this movie. So can't wait for this one. I hope it releases, fingers crossed, in 2024. If not, we may have to wait to 2025. All right, that's it. That's my list of most anticipated movies of 2024. Again, kind of mediocre list this year, I think. Who knows what's going to emerge later on in the year, like I said. But a little bit disappointed in the slate this year. But that's kind of to be expected when there were several months that we lost due to the strike. And, you know, the fact that we're getting this many movies that are interesting at all is pretty cool. So I'm really excited for 2024 at the movies. Go ahead and leave me in the comments down below what your most anticipated movies of the year are. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of your holiday weekend, and I will see you later.